fluid. But I was just talking to the guys, and I heard it, because Belle and I were hard at work doing other things, and we focus. I don't know what you're laughing about, Belle. We were seriously focused. I was not on TikTok at all, and you were not sitting there mean tweeting at Robert Reich. But
there's so much I want to say, but it just moving forward.
It's true, though. That sometimes we're like, I look and I go, dude, I guess we should go in there and talk to Chris. I've already done a couple shows today, so cat me some slack. But you never know, and this is crazy. So 4 people injured shooting Florida State. Person in custody. That's all we know at this point in time. And I'm sure these things, this is one of those things. I remember, and it was odd, just the other day, it was actually, do you remember the Virginia Tech shootings? So at the time, my ex and I, we were moving from Southern California to Northern California. She'd taken a job up there, and I was going to work in radio up there. We got in our little apartment stuff, and we were heading back, and we had left in the morning, and by the time we had left, there was like a news break. Hey, there's a shooting at Virginia Tech. We're monitoring it. By the time we got to Southern California, it was, 30-some dead, and it was because those things are fluid. Ken, what do you know so far?
Well, right now, everybody's reporting at least 4 hospitalized. Somebody opening fire inside the Florida State Student Union building. Massive police and FBI presence.
Yeah. They have a guy in custody. I'm assuming it's a guy.
They have a person in custody. And there are multiple images of students running from any danger. And, of course, Florida State itself, the university, has put out an alert on all of its social media platforms telling people to shelter in place for the time being if you're anywhere near this. So, here we go. Got another one. And, I have not seen anything about, the extent of the injuries involved, but 4 people hospitalized. Some of that could be taken there as a precaution.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, injured.
Yeah. So it's
in one form or another.
It's a horrible situation. And we don't know if there's people inside that are obviously not injured, if you will.
Exactly.
For a lack of a better term. Which you don't, and this is, in our business, it's a weird thing. And Matt and I have talked about the kind of, the gruesome nature of the business is how many, right? I mean, if we want to be honest, we'll pull back the curtain a little bit. How many?
Yeah. We're wondering right now how many were shot, if there are bodies in the student union that, right now, police, their focus right now is on securing this area. And if they do have one alleged shooter in custody, are there more?
That's right. And it's a little bit how the sausage is made. I've already had my producer for my national show contact me and say, I'm monitoring this. Mm-hmm. Should something happen, and this shows you, I would have to go home after this show today and redo another live show for my afternoon show for the West Coast.
Right.
Based on, even though I've already done a show in time, most of the times we'll can that because it's, stuff that we're talking about, like the immigration thing, stuff that's not really, it's entertaining, it's relevant, but
it's ongoing.
It's ongoing, where this is, and it'll be based on, sounds horrible, the body count.
Yes.
It sounds like that's a horrible thing to say, but the reality is, and especially because we become so numb to it in this country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take for instance, earlier this week, the shooting at the high school in Dallas.
Yeah.
That didn't even make the top of the newscast anymore.
No.
It didn't make the top of the newscast at the time on, I think it was Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
It was Monday or Tuesday afternoon.
It was Tuesday.
It was just there was one student with a leg wound, and then the campus was secure. So I'm thinking, okay, well, there's one student with a leg wound. They say it was isolated. Everybody's safe. And then the next morning, I find out there were 4 kids injured.
4 kids shot. One of them was grazed.
And they didn't even have the shooter yet.
No, he turned himself in.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing, and there's another perfect, and this is, and you know this as well as I. And again, pulling back the curtains here, making showing how the sausages make. It also depends on: is it a angry white guy that killed a whole bunch of people?
Yep.
Was it a gang fight?
Yeah.
And it's got to be a gang fight where it's if it's Hell's Angels, doing something, that's not going to make the news. I mean, if it's a gang fight, people are like, it's gang people. Nobody cares.
It's gang.
Yeah. But if it's an angry white guy or black guy that walks into a place where there's innocence, it could be black or white, it doesn't matter. But it can't be a drive-by that shoots 15 people. There was that shooting in New Mexico, Texas border 2 Sundays ago, like 14 people.
Yeah.
But people had beef, but it wasn't a big deal in the news sense because there's no story there.
Right. It was just, it was people who had an ongoing issue with each other.
Yeah.
A gang fight.
A gang fight. And that's why these things come and go so fast and same thing like in Chicago. And by the way, if you've ever been to Chicago, I've been to Chicago a bunch of times. I'll tell you, it's a gorgeous city. And for those of you who don't know, one of the safest cities on the planet. But there's about 4 blocks that you don't want to go.
Yeah, that the police don't even.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. You just don't go there. But if there's 8 people shot in a weekend there, nobody pays attention to it.
No.
Nobody does.
And it's just as tragic as anything else.
But it's not a story that will capture. It goes back to, what's that thing you always say, Bill? The pretty blonde syndrome or whatever it is, where if a pretty blonde girl gets kidnapped, the country, Gabby Petito, with her murder, people will focus on that.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's...
that's pretty much it. And I mean, the more, quote unquote, average the person looks, the more they're going to latch onto it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, that is. I know we talked about that the other day. It's like if you're 300 pounds and you do something, nobody really. People aren't paying attention.
Yeah,
there has to be a narrative, a story, something they can sell that makes the news somewhat entertaining, which is weird. Aren't we entertaining enough, guys? I think so. Damn Skippy. So all we know right now, 4 hurt, suspect in custody after shooting. We don't know anything about the guy, most likely.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that. I don't think it's a girl, but it could be.
Yeah.
Well, statistically, it would be a guy.
Yeah,
but
if you had to lay money, right?
Yeah.
Like if we had to if I told you had to bet your house today on whether it's a guy or a girl, you're probably going to go guy.
Yeah, but the Covenant shooting was a female, and that was considered an aberration.
Yeah.
That is not normal.
That female wanted to be a guy.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right.
I mean, but it was, that was an aberration. And it was, but if you had to lay your money, there's no doubt, you're looking and you're thinking it's probably a guy, although they look like they got everything under control right now. But
yeah, it doesn't look as chaotic as it was did earlier.
So, and we don't know if it was beef, because here's how fast the story will go. If it's a 22-year-old nut job who is, who's screaming MAGA, you're going to hear about it all day on the news. If it is a guy screaming jihad, you might hear about it on the news. If it is a dude who had beef with 3 or 4 people in there over a girlfriend or something, this will be gone within the hour.
Yeah.
And just a news story at the bottom of CNN.
Well, and if nobody dies.
But if it's just a relationship battle between people, they knew each other, that changes everything. Although I see some of these white vans roll in, and those don't tend to look like something that you would see.
White vans indicate medical examiners.
Yes. So
forensics. There's going to be forensics involved anyway for, the case, the casing, bullet casings, that sort of thing. But
there was an ambulance in the shot right there.
Yeah. So,
and it doesn't seem to be in a hurry.
No.
Several white vans.
God willing, this is just nothing more than, because it for us too, it's tough. I always tell my kids, you know how tough it is to cover stuff like this,
especially when you have kids.
Like when the whole thing went down in was it Connecticut?
Yes, Sandy Hook. That was another one of those things where I was getting ready I was about an hour from going on the air, and we started to hear that there was a shooting. But, you never know, because you don't know, because it takes a while for these things to get themselves out. Same thing with Parkland, what took place in Texas a couple of years ago.
And by the time it starts, you start reporting on it. And by the time you get to where it's awful. And when they're kids, it's awful when it's anybody, but there's just something about, the vile, disgusting nature. And Sandy Hook was much different because it was so quick. Parkland, the situation was bizarre. But what took place in Texas a few years ago with, they were in there for hours. They didn't do anything. That was just an aberration, which caused, by the way, a reaction here in Nashville with the whole covenant thing that, that was on the heels of that. They went right in there. There was no messing around. I don't think there was any cop the day after what took place in Texas that would ever, say, we're going to wait. Because that was just the most absurd thing ever.
Oh, yeah, Uvalde.
That was just, we're going to wait. We didn't have the key.
Yeah, that, oh, man. That was terrible.
I mean, and then they had, that whole thing was the worst way to ever handle anything I have ever seen in an incident like that.
It was a master class in what not to do.
Yes. Hopefully, some people said those things. Look, it's not the birds aren't real, Van.
Yeah.
Always need a little humor. Birds
right.
aren't real. Did you ever see those guys on 60 Minutes when they said, this started out as a joke, and then people really got behind it?
That's what happens, man.
Man, people go down they
go in the rabbit holes.
They do. In fact, was it QAnon? Was it not QAnon, but 4chan was just hacked the other day. And you're coming to find out, was this really this seems like all of a sudden, oh, wait, was this an experiment by our government to see if we could get people to go BlueAnon and QAnon and just kind of watch them like they're ants?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. We do have some stuff to get to today that is not this. We are going to keep an eye on this, though. Right now, 4 people injured, suspect in custody, FSU. That's Florida State, for those of you who don't understand college. But we will be watching this. We're going to talk a little bit. I'm going to run something by you guys because the Democrats are they're so, they picked the worst lane you could pick. But I want to run something by you guys that I think you guys will appreciate and to show you the hypocrisy of all of this lunacy that's going on with this Garcia cat. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk. I joked about the dishwashers, but I'm not lying. One of the number one thing that people are talking about in marriage counseling is you don't do it right. It's passive aggressive. I brought this up in a meeting today. We were talking, and Belle said, let me tell you who the dishwasher is.
No, you do not. Shut up. You say nothing. That was meant for a private conversation.
Oh, my God.
Stop it.
Oh, my Lord. You should have seen his face. You guys can't because it's floating around because he has no head. But I will tell you this. Oh, my God. He's all, no.
That was a private conversation. We're going to keep it that way.
Let's just say if you guys heard this on the radio, you would probably have to go report it to your HR. Oh, coming up, a lot of good stuff. Happy. It's Friday Eve. Somebody said make sure to tell you that because of Matt. But the
Brother
reality is it's my Friday because I'm off tomorrow. Who's in for me? Desmond?
Yeah, Des Dickerson.
Des Dickerson.
Oh, Brother Des.
That's right, Brother Des. We're bringing him in. You know what? When I'm out for a day, you guys get the dude that used to be in the Revolution.
That's right.
That's right. Monday, maybe you get a guy from AC/DC. You don't know. You might get a guy that's a Beach Boy. It's also a possibility as well.
Angus is on tour right now, man.
He is. God, they better straight from the retirement home to. You think when they're 90, they're going to be forming at a retirement home?
They're not.
Thunderstruck.
Dude, Angus is going to die in the middle of his Chuck Berry strut.
You know what?
That's how Angus is going to do it.
I think he would prefer it that way as well.
I do too.
Absolutely. They just keep going too. A lot of good stuff. Happy, beautiful Thursday. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad. Go there now. Get a free Jumpstart trial bag of Ruff Greens. It's $20 value coming right at you. And take the 90-day challenge. Now, my dogs, they've taken the lifetime challenge with Ruff Greens. But I will tell you this. The 90-day challenge, you're going to see a change in your dog that's awesome. First of all, energy levels you're going to see through the roof. Top of that, you're going to see shinier coat. That's just the first 30 days. Then you're going to see more mobility in their joints. You're going to see by day 60, because it's 1 scoop a day, live enzymes into that dog food, which is dead food. Then you're going to start to see a better immune system and a thicker coat. By day 90, tons of mobility, more energy, digestive tracts improved, heart health improved, immunity's improved. It's like a new pup. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad. Use my code Chad and take the 90-day challenge. It's a $20 value to you for free. Ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad.
Active shooter at Florida State. At least 4 people injured, hospitalized, and 1 person is in custody. We'll get you the very latest coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The shooting seems to be centered on the FSU campus at that student union building that's in the center of that sprawling campus in downtown Tallahassee. There are multiple injuries. We're being told at least 3 have been injured. There may be more than that. We don't know the severity of those injuries, but shots have been fired, and the authorities are converging on campus.
Yeah, they've converged. 4 total now. They're not saying if they were shot, because sometimes people get injured because of the stampede, as you would expect. You know, people duck under desks and things like that. But the shooter is in custody. Don't know what that means. Don't know if there are shooters. I don't know if there is just one. I don't know if they shot him, if he shot himself, and that he's injured. And no idea. But we're going to keep an eye on this as we go about the rest of the day. Hopefully, it's nothing more than what we have, and because you never damn well know. That's for sure. I'm going to get into the whole thing with Mr. Garcia, right? The father from Maryland. Coming up, but I want to break it down in a different way, because I don't think it's being broke down the way that not only we should, but also talked about, and maybe put some stuff out there to show you the hypocrisy of the lunacy of the left. And trust me, there's plenty of it to go around for everybody, but they seem to take the absolute cake in a lot of this stuff. They're extra. That's what my kids would say. Man, they're extra on that one. No doubt about that. Tariffs still out there, but you can still get a good deal, kind of, sort of.
Now, critics of that trade loophole says that it's harmed American businesses like Forever 21, which has filed for bankruptcy. But supporters of that trade loophole say that closing it is going to have a significant impact on American consumers that rely on these kinds of apps for very, very low prices for all sorts of goods.
Yeah, Temu and all of these good. You can buy stuff so cheap in some places. Even with, and I was looking at some of the prices just to get a feel of if stuff rises. Even with stuff rising in certain areas, 20%, 30%, whatever it is still extremely cheap to get some of these things compared to here. And I'm talking about, goes back to this, the stuff that doesn't matter, your throwaway stuff, your socks, your T-shirts, things of that nature. I'm not talking about, because part of it is if we're going to build stuff here, let's build stuff that matters. Let's not build crap that's, just all about, I got this. Let's build things that matter. Let's craft stuff. And a lot of what we do is that AI is the battleground there, which is, being built here. And that's why the whole battle with Harvard is interesting and MIT, because this is where we as a nation don't see how much goes on in these research facilities that benefit us when it comes to, because they've turned they realized a long time ago, colleges, the best way to continue to grow and to make money is to build these amazing, incredible research facilities, and not just for hospitals, which is wonderful, but for things like tech, and to partner with the government, not only to get money and to grow your college, but also the patented side of things. Because they get to keep these patents as well. They get to share in the goods that they produce as far as the profits, which helps them in a major way, but it also helps us. And MIT looks like they could be getting fall. This is going to be a battle with what is happening with the Trump administration and them. And I will say, do I agree with all of it? No. But remember, when Obama and through Biden and everything, when they forced a lot of these DEI programs on a lot of these colleges and businesses as kind of a hey or else, I didn't hear too many people in the media bitching about that. Putting it out there. We got Ken's News coming up. Students are still sheltering in place at FSU, but there is a shooter in place. They're looking for a second gunman potentially as well. Keep you up to date about that. And I want to talk about hypocrisy. I want to ask you guys a question about what if when it comes to Garcia. You know what I'm talking about. It's Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got an injury crash East Thompson Lane at Briley Parkway. Then the crash in the Gore, blocking it. That's his 24 eastbound right there at 65 north. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Word of an active shooter on campus at Florida State University this hour. Here's Aaron Katursky.
They are undoubtedly going from building to building, checking on different people, different students, seeing if the shooter ran, where he or she may have gone. So there's still investigative work to do in addition to recovering whatever shell casings there may be on the ground. And so they want to keep the foot traffic down.
So what we're seeing is at least 4 people hospitalized and at least 1 person in custody there. The shooting happening in the Florida State University Student Union building there in Tallahassee. Right now in Tennessee, legislation that bans hemp flower because it exceeds the federal allowable limit of THC when smoked is headed for Governor Lee, who can sign it into law. Popular products that could be pulled from dispensaries include vapes, smokable flower, and pre-rolled joints. New revelations about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Tennessee Star, reporting he was stopped by Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers in 2022, driving erratically without a license. 7 others on their way to Maryland. There was no luggage in the SUV, even though one person in the van was suspected of being on a terrorist watch list. The Tennessee Star says the FBI instructed the officers to let them all go free. This is the Star's editor, Michael Patrick Leahy, telling WTN's Dan Mandis he's got follow-up work to do today.
Contact the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security and request that they release all documents, all images, and all video related to this particular traffic stop.
No record showing whether the Biden's Department of Homeland Security ever followed up on enforcing the matter. Google has lost another court battle. A federal judge today says the company illegally dominated the online advertising market. Google says it's going to appeal. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Let me tell you something about retirement. It's not just about the dollars and cents of it all. There's a lot of other things, and that's where Beacon comes in. They want to get you a retirement-ready toolkit. They're local right here. Beauty is you can go down, sit down and talk to them. But, you know, so many people, when they retire, everybody's like, am I going to outlive my money? Like, it's a big thing. But you forget about the other stuff, right? And they're a full-service investment advisor, right? So they're going to have options of taking care of all aspects of your retirement, from, you know, taxes, estate planning, even health care. Those are some of the things that people worry about, especially the fear of taxes and that running out of money. That's a big concern. So why don't you do this? Call Beacon, get your retirement ready toolkit. It's absolutely free. Money Enough for Life book, retirement planning checklist, and a maximizing your retirement income white paper. Call 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303, or online at askbeaconnow.com. So I want to run this. Somebody just said, I'm sick of talking about the MS-13 guy. I don't want to talk about him either. But I want to run something by you. So yesterday, right, is a perfect example of the ridiculousness of the Democrats. Van Hollen, that's that senator, heads on down to El Salvador. It's a 4-hour, 20-minute flight. Oh, man, you guys want to get high? So he heads on down there, and he's going to go, right? Like, here's a senator from the U.S. He shows up. He's got a contingent of his little minions with him, and they're all there, and people are cheering him on, and go get him. It's going to be great, and then I'm going to go talk to him, and I'm going to figure out how to get him back, and this is how that went.
The vice president, if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make that happen. He said he needed a little more time. I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family. He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen. So I will certainly ask the American embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone. I asked him how about his family? How can he talk to his wife so that she can hear his voice? I let him know that the family has requested that. He said he was not sure whether he could make that happen.
So you went on your own, going there as the white savior. Good for you. Congratulations, right? Riding on in and going to save the day. And basically, you said, hey, I need to speak to so-and-so. And they said, ¿qué? No hable el estúpido. And the way that went there, you're like, okay, Bill, you liking that one? ¿Qué?
That was a winner from the start.
Oh, goodness me. So that happens. Now, why? Why this guy? Like, why this guy? Because it's not about this guy. It's not about any of this. It's about a chance to, your identity's wrapped up in you hate Trump, fine, whatever. You're going to turn this into whatever it is you're going to turn it into because it's all about championing whatever. Now, I want to flip the script. Stay with me, people. Imagine this one. Guy comes over here, may or may not be, and we'll call it a biker gang. Stockholm, Sweden, for those of you not keeping score. Hanging out here, maybe had some business, maybe doesn't. Finds a nice little lady, right? She's like, oh, I'm digging the Viking, right? Next thing you know, they get married, pop out a couple kids. It's not supposed to be here, though. It's been here a while. Not supposed to be here. And some issues, right? They have some issues. He's a Viking, loses his temper a few times. Police come out. They get a order of protection and get on back with their life eventually, right? He's working odd jobs here and there. Maybe he's a bouncer. Maybe he still has some friends because he's in a biker gang. We'll call them Hells Angels and Bandidos, whatever you want to do. Again, Stockholm, right? But he's here. He's not supposed to be here. He's here illegally. He has stayed in the country illegally. Then all of a sudden, he gets picked up. And they said, oh, my, little 1%er here. You're part of a gang. We got to send you back to Stockholm. And he's like, no, I'm not really part of a gang. I left there because the Bandidos were out to get him. Again, this is all hypothetical. And then he gets sent to Europe, into Europe. Next thing you know, he's over in Europe. And his family's here, and they're all upset. Do you, for a second, think that this Democrat, because let's say he gets caught in Baltimore, is going to come out and go, I can't believe they sent Sven Svensson home? Can you? Can you believe they did that? They sent Sven Svensson home? How dare they sent Sven Svensson home? Trump has no right. They would never do that. You see, the color of the skin doesn't match the white savior complex that they're going for. Well, that would never happen because they would never come after somebody like. Yes, they would. If you're a Hell's Angel and you're in this country league, you don't think if they caught you, they would do something? Right? Because, by the way, in Canada, Montreal and stuff, we've talked about it. The issues they've had up in there, you don't think they come back and forth? Fentanyl and stuff like that? Of course. I'm pointing it out because this has very little to do with this person in particular. They grappled onto somebody they thought was all that, and they didn't do their research. Obviously, we're finding out, there may be a lot more to the story here about what took place and was he a part of something coming from Texas, going to Maryland, being stopped here, people, essentially flagging, saying, hey, I think this guy's part of something, human smuggling-wise. But it's about the color of the skin and the fact that you can look and say, this is a minority group and this is an underserved class of people. And so I have to be there to protect them. This has nothing to do with the individual himself. It has nothing to do with other than it's Trump and it's an opportunity to go after him. That's it. No more. No more. Again, Sven Svensson would not get the same love from the Democrats. He wouldn't. He wouldn't get the same love from the Democrats at all. He's not going to get, Bernie out there going, I can't believe that Trump has decided to crack down on these people. No, they would get none of that. They're focusing on this because of the color of the skin. And because they look and they say, this is an underserved community that has been, more and more he has been completely, the way that they come after these communities like this, it is such a joke. And this is the issue that they continue to have. And this is why you get people who, this is a former Democrat who, I think I got all the beefs, but just in case, who is basically saying, what the hell are you people doing?
Really, Democrats, that's what you resorted to? Putting all your effort and everything you got into trying to get an MS-13 gang leader back into our country. The mother literally said, I can't go back to El Salvador. A rival gang won't alive me. These dumb mother Democrats out here fighting their damnedest to get this terrorist back in our country. They're saying they want him home. He is home in El Salvador, where he belongs.
Could you believe Sven going, I can't believe you guys sent me home, right? Couldn't believe it. And then you think one of our people flying over there going, can I have Sven Svensson back? And they'd be like, what you're talking about? We don't know you. Get out of here. It's a narrative. It's a narrative. And the narrative first is Trump is bad, he's evil, he's all the things. And the other side of the narrative is, this is a minority class that we think they'll look at us and say, we're heroes. You didn't care about the lady whose kid was killed because that didn't fit the media narrative either. Because if you would have went there and said, oh, my God, Rachel Morton, what happened? The horrors of her being murdered. If you would have admitted to that and that there is more than a good chance that, I don't know, the border and the way that they handled it led to that, that would have went against the media narrative, and nobody wants to go against the other narrative. Nobody has the sense enough to stand up and go, no, this can't happen. And when you do, the tribe kicks you out. And you don't want that. No. No. Oh, so damn frustrating. God, could you imagine if there was a bunch of Swedes? Okay, I know it's not a gang, it's a club. Motorcycle club. I get it. You guys get where I'm going with that, right? They're one percenters. One percenters. That's what I'm talking about. For those of you, we were talking about the, yes, on the, they're called motorcycle clubs, but, some people call them motorcycle gangs, but still I was just using it there as a kind of throwing that out there. If you were to change the color of the skin and where they're from, I don't think the outrage would be the same. Just like we were talking about earlier. There's got to be a narrative for the media to sell. We were talking about Florida State. What do we know? If there's 10 or 15 injured and some dead, that's going to get a lot of coverage. If there's 2 dead and that's going to quietly go away. If it's 3 or 4 dead, but it's beef between 2 people, nobody's paying attention to that the same way they will a mass shooter. because there needs to be a narrative. I was talking earlier. I read this hilarious article, and I was joking, and the look on Bell's face when he thought maybe I was going to say something. I didn't, but it was funny. Some of you even chimed in with something similar about dishwashing. And I say that because it's actually in the Atlantic, and it's kind of funny that what people in therapy are reporting is dishwashing is kind of become the new battleground in a lot of places for couples. And many of you who have been married, one of you doesn't do it right. Ken, do you do the dishwashing? Probably not.
Yes.
Do you do it wrong or right?
I do it right all the time.
You do it right like she tells you to or like you want to?
Nope, because I do it like I want to.
So, well, the interesting thing about this is it's the way they describe it is
Tines down. Tines down.
So, look at you. There are, as they call the engineers, right? The people that are, it's usually the woman, right? You got the bowls and the plates. They've got to be on the outside, kind of down. You've got the bigger, pans on the outside. You've never put wood. If you put wood in there, oh. But the way that they say is there's people like probably Belle and I was just like, it's a dishwasher. I'm just throwing crap in there. Let's get it done. Right?
Pretty much. It's supposed to make life easier, not more difficult.
Well, the other thing is, too, I also wash the stuff really good before I put it in there. So it's like a double wash, right? It's like, it's so weird. Because, you know what? When you ever have somebody come over to clean your house, and what do? You spend the whole day cleaning the house so they don't think you're gross when they come over.
There's no way you would ever get me to double wash dishes.
Well, no, but I mean, you rinse them off pretty good.
I'll put a plate into the dishwasher with a piece of steak still stuck to it. It's like, that's the dishwasher's job.
You're going to ruin your dishwasher that way, Brother Bilal.
Well, it's actually not mine. So,
well, there you go. So that's the way he feels. But they talk about it's a passive-aggressive way.
I want a divorce, Bell.
That people pick arguments now inside of. You guys are getting a divorce?
He won't wash the dishes properly.
People are doing that. People are like, that's becoming what they're saying is it's the catalyst to start the therapy.
Right.
One of the first things brought up, or it is the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, like there's underlying conditions.
Yes.
But this is the one that sends it over the edge.
This person put it perfectly. It's one of the things that's out there. There are two types of people that load dishwashers. That's what they're saying. There are two types. One, they said the architect. This person says an OCD architect or a raccoon with rabies. 7712. That is funny. That's true. It's a hodgepodge. Like sometimes when I load it, and I will admit I can overload it at times, right? And I Tetris it up a little bit. But there are times too where I'll put stuff in there, and honest to God, I look up and I think it feels like I threw stuff in there and then I rolled it down the stairs.
I tell you what, dude, I am definitely OCD about it because when it comes time to run the dishwasher, which we run ours probably every other day, we get enough in there that we got to clean. But what drives me crazy is if all of the spoons, knives, and forks, like if they're all in just one of the little carriers for them. Yeah. I've got to spread that out, dude. It bugs the hell out of me.
Hey, Ken, do you do laundry?
No. I'm not allowed to do laundry.
Oh, you're not allowed.
See, there's always that.
I
Right?
was curious if you separated your colors and your whites.
No. Eventually, they're all going to end up the same color, so you never have to worry about anything again.
That's right.
But it's funny the way that is. Like people start to pick certain things, but the dishwasher seems to be the place.
Yeah.
That is the most annoying. And most of the time, it's women being somewhat passive-aggressive and coming in and redoing it. Like you're trying to do something nice, and then they'll say, you don't do it the way I like it done. And it gives me more work.
Yeah.
Okay, then you do it. And well, you don't do anything around here. I don't do it the way you like it. And you guys know what I'm saying.
Mine started a long time ago, man. My parents, they divvied out chores. And when it came to cleaning the kitchen, I don't know why, but I started developing a thing for it. And my siblings, my brother and sister, did not do it the way I wanted them to, so I just took it over.
Look at you.
I just started cleaning the kitchen on my own.
A little initiative there from the man. And who's going to bring you the news here?
I'm not allowed to do that.
Not allowed to do that. Coming up, a lot more stuff still to get to. Is it on? Is it off? Fire Festival. We're going to fire it up because part duh may be happening, but then they say it isn't, but then they say it is. We'll find that out. A bunch of other stuff straight ahead. Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7. When it comes to investments, nobody more I trust than my buddies over at Bulwark Capital. My buddy Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer over there. He and I are pals. He handles my money, handles my family's money. And I'll tell you why. What they do is so much different than everybody else. A lot of people, they have their systems. They trade it here. This is it. It's global. He always tells everybody, man, it's global. You got to look for stuff all over the globe because this market is only a portion of what's going on out there. And there's opportunities every single day in many different places. Risk management, number one strategy at Bulwark. Lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility with the most upside potential through active management on a daily basis. They build you something for you that works for you. Here's a great thing. They want to give you a second opinion on what you got going on in your retirement. Call them today. Let them go through it. Worst case scenarios, you'll learn something, but I think you'll find out a whole lot about what's going on out there. They're going to give you a breakdown of how they work. 866-779-RISK, 866-779-RISK, or check out everything they do at knowyourriskradio.com, KNOW riskradio.com. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involved risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24173. Don't be a pain in your own back. Get over to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Check them out online at painisbad.com. So, an honor, 47 president. That's Trump. How about this? Big 47 off. 47% off non-surgical decompression. and it's great. You can have a pain-free life, which is what you want, right? You enjoy the things you used to do, especially like it's getting nice out there. You want to be outside, but you can't do what you used to do. No more back pain. Get over right now to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Talk to Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley. They're going to do a full consultation, a workup on you, if you will. They're going to give you an exam, x-ray. If you got an MRI, bring it in. Let them take a look at it. Then they build you out a plan. And with the technology and things they have that others just don't have, light years ahead, they build you that plan to get you up, moving, and enjoying your life pain-free again. Yeah, baby. So what are you waiting for? Call them today. It is the Wellness Institute of Nashville. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009 or painisbad.com.
Florida State University shooting update, and Tennessee is the governor's signature away from tighter regulation of products that get you high. All this and more coming up at 1 on Zipper Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's the moment cops enter Gene Hackman's home with guns drawn and tasers at the ready, moving carefully, not knowing what to expect. They stumble upon a grim scene, the body of the Oscar-winning legend.
He's down. He's been down for a while.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman? Okay. The actor?
At the other end of the sprawling home, another poignant sight. Hackman's German Shepherd, named Bear, loyally guarding the body of wife Betsy Hackman.
Hey, buddy.
The mystery of two bodies found far apart appears baffling.
I don't see any, blunt force trauma. It's just strange that they would both be down, bro.
Another disturbing discovery.
There's blood on the pillow, and on the mattresses, and on the bedspread.
Detectives find messages on Betsy's cell phone from concerned friends.
I'm just calling to check in and see how everything's going over there. We're all a little worried now, so give me a call or a text.
I don't know if you guys have seen any of the video. So this is the body cam. I will tell you this. Chris and I talked about it yesterday. I've seen a lot of horrible things in my life. You know what creeps me out more than anything? Hoarders. It makes me uncomfortable. That show is the show I can't watch. Mm-hmm. It makes me uncomfortable. And boy, were these people some hoarders.
Really?
So the house was a mess, and it was a mess. But for the average person, it was. But the other 8 buildings were awful, and she had the hantavirus, and there were rats breeding everywhere outside of the main house.
That explains the hantavirus.
Yeah, so they were everywhere breeding, and they go in the house and they found a bunch of cash. He's worth a ton of money. Where were his damn kids?
Have they even claimed the bodies yet?
I don't know if they have. I know they were arguing a bit and fighting a bit over the estate, what to do with it. It's going to go to probate, this, that, and the other. But it was so disgusting. There was a portion where they showed the bathtub, and it was full of 500 boxes. Like they went to Amazon, just tossed them all in there.
Wow.
It was. But she was Googling. They found out stuff like the flu symptoms. She thought she had COVID, and she had the hantavirus. And once it got to a certain level, they showed her shopping, and within 24 hours, she was dead. So,
fills your lungs up.
Yeah, it was bad. But the whole I just can't do any of that stuff where they're hoarding. It just creeps me the hell out. Coming up, hour number 2 of the program. Oh, baby, get ready for it. Chad Bencio, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now, at least 4 people hospitalized, 1 person taken into custody. A shooting inside the Florida State University Student Union in Tallahassee.
As I was walking back, I see these group of girls crying, really upset, walking back from the student union, told me they heard gunshots, and they just ran and came back to their apartment where I was walking to.
Now, the campus sent a couple of alerts to stay where you are and shelter in place and stay away from windows as the investigation unfolds there in Tallahassee. Here in Tennessee, legislation is on the way to Governor Lee to sign that bans hemp flower because when you smoke it, the level of THC that gets you high exceeds the federal allowable limit of 0.3%. So once this law takes effect, some of the products that could be banned include vapes, hemp flower, and pre-rolled joints. A chance encounter between Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers in 2022 on I-40, about 100 miles east of Nashville in Putnam County, and the Salvadoran man arrested in Maryland, then deported last month.
Driving erratically, unable to maintain its lane, and also speeding. So they pulled him over. The driver was, in fact, the same, quote, Maryland man, the El Salvador illegal who was deported.
Tennessee Star's Michael Patrick Leahy, speaking with WTN's Dan Mandis this morning, says troopers suspected Kilmar Abrego Garcia was trafficking his passengers, but they were ordered by the FBI to let them go. The FBI has not responded to the Tennessee Star's request for an explanation, according to Leahy. And the Associated Press still fighting to force the Trump administration to allow its reporters in the Oval Office and on Air Force One.
The White House is asking the circuit court to put on pause last week's order from a district court judge that would restore the AP's access to the press pool so that it's on equal footing with its fellow wire services. But earlier this week, the White House sought to maneuver around Judge Trevor McFadden's directive by altogether eliminating all the spots in the pool for wire service reporters. In response to that, Trump-appointed Judge McFadden has now set a hearing in his courtroom for tomorrow on AP's motion to enforce his order.
Google has lost another court battle. A federal judge today says the company illegally dominates the online advertising market. That is against antitrust laws. Google says it will appeal. President Trump hosting Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the White House today. Both leaders seeking to strike a trade deal and avoid tariffs.
Oh, there'll be a trade deal, 100%. Oh, well, you think there won't be? Of course there'll be a trade deal. Very much. They want to make one very, very much, and we're going to make a trade deal. I fully expect it, but it'll be a fair deal.
Selena Wang was there.
Meloni was asked, is the U.S. still a reliable partner? And she says, yes, she believes the U.S. is still a reliable partner. And you, of course, heard Trump there lapping the praise on Prime Minister Meloni. Trump also saying that they're in no, quote, rush to get a trade deal, but said we're getting there.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
pregnant. Sorry about that. I was, my buddy goes, will Elon be at the White House with the Italian prime minister there? It's that Meloni lady, right? Yeah, I might get her pregnant. Watch out.
Georgia Meloni.
Might get, you know, with him, I was reading an article today, he's got a harem. How about that, huh? Good for you. Can you afford it, sir? With the influencer that he just had his, 29th millionth kid with, was his 14th? What'd they say? He offered her $15 million and $100,000 a month.
Goodness.
I know men can't have babies, but it'd be worth looking at. Friends. So now we're reporting FSU 6 hurt.
6 people hospitalized. According to a local hospital, they've taken 6 patients. Did not give the conditions, though.
And they're still sheltering in place.
That order has not been lifted.
All right. So I don't know if they think there's 2. And no, they've got the guy in custody. Twitter will find out who the guy is soon. I'm sure somebody's going to tweet it out.
Let's see here.
Yeah, see if you can see. I don't know. I haven't seen anything because usually they have reported something by now where, you know, this is such and such and this is what they did. I have not seen that.
Well, I should have refreshed that Twitter feed a long time ago.
But
yeah, just a suspect in custody.
So we don't know who he is or what he's all about at this moment in time. But so far, not reporting any deaths. But they did say, was it 5 in serious condition?
Yeah, I don't trust this particular account, so I'm not even going to say it. But yeah, so far from what we're getting from the officials is 6 people hospitalized, 1 person in custody, but there are other reports from various accounts. I'm not sure they actually have talked to anybody in official capacity that indicate it could be worse.
I saw one account that I don't know if it's real or not, posted 9 minutes ago, but a person walking with their phone and there's a person on the ground and that person does not look like they are alive. And there are other accounts of that as well where you see that person. It's just hard to tell. But, man, what's weird is because the campuses, campuses are huge.
Yeah.
So you have people that are just sitting out there having, it's a beautiful day. It's Florida. They're having a cup of coffee and just chilling in the quad. And you see all these cops come running by with guns. And some people don't even move because you don't know what's really going on. So 1 person absolutely in critical condition, 5 in serious, and there may be more. So we shall see. And again, it's hard in this situation online, which is where they'll break it first, but you've got to go through so much crap.
Yeah.
That you don't know is real. And that's the thing I think that absolutely is frustrating. The beauty of being able to get instantaneous media is a great thing. And at the same time, having to sift through crap.
Got to be careful.
Yeah, you absolutely have to be careful. We found life in space, guys. Not quite the aliens we were looking for. I don't know if you guys wear this.
Using the James Webb Telescope, scientists say they have detected unusual gases in the atmosphere of a faraway planet. Gases which, here on Earth, are only made by living things. Scientists say this is especially encouraging because it shows we might be able to spot signs of life, even from light years away.
So they found a Taco Bell.
They did. From light years away. Taco Bell. That's the gases. Yo quito Taco Bell.
K2-18b is a giant ocean-covered planet about 120 light years away. The big find? 2 compounds in K2-18b's atmosphere that here on Earth come primarily from tiny microbes in our ocean. To be clear, scientists are not claiming aliens are out there. Not yet.
Not yet. It would take a long time for you to get there, by the way. I was looking at it I was doing some research, and I'm talking about the amount of time we can't even comprehend. It's like, first of all, we can't even comprehend what forever looks like. Because we think, oh my God, we're 120 light years. This is the most amazing thing. It's incredible. And yet behind it is forever. So how do we know what's out there? We have no idea. This is a great, and I love this stuff because, again, the fact that we have a telescope that can do these kind of things is incredible.
Yeah, that James Webb is something else.
Yeah, that guy's pretty awesome. I don't know who he is, but his eyes are, man, those things can see all over the place.
We have found signs of biosignature molecules, either DMS or DMDS or both of which produced uniquely by life here on Earth. This moment in history of science will be viewed as a paradigm shift in our search for life. This is a monumental discovery. It is very important, but we also have to be extremely cautious.
Monumental. Like, that's massive. That is huge, what they're talking about. A monumental shift in what we're looking at time-wise. It is incredible to think about what we're able to see out there. And it is, I don't think we're alone. I'm still waiting. I know Trump promised me a while ago that he was going to release all of the alien files. We've got none of it. And I would like to know more about what's going on. I think it's fair for all of us to learn more about what's going on out there because, I just find it hard to believe that there would be nothing else out there. If it goes on forever, how can there be nothing else out there? I think it's always the hubris, too, to think that we're the only ones. It's that weird, like, we could be the only ones. That's insane. We're still covering, a lot of people are sending us stuff about Newsmax is reporting this, what's going on at Florida State. We don't know. We do know there are injuries, and some of them serious, critical. Some people reporting there are deaths, but we have no idea what's happening. We're going to keep, obviously, abreast of this throughout the day, and these things are fluid. And we talked about it last hour, and how these things get covered is also very interesting because, they get covered in a way where it sounds horrible, but it's a body count. And what's that look like? And why did this happen? Was this just an angry person off the street? Was it more? So we're going to keep focusing on, Ken especially is going to keep focusing on what's happening there. But it has changed from hour to hour. We went from 4 injured now to 6. Some of them are serious. We'll see. We shall see. I saw the Clooney thing. I was going to play it, but our computer's acting a little wacky here. Did you see the Clooney interview?
Did not, but I saw that I saw his head up there.
He
earlier.
doubled. First of all, he dyed his hair. It looks kind of weird because he's on Broadway. Yeah. He doubled down on like the whole thing with why he essentially came out and said what he said about Biden.
Oh yeah,
and he said what he said, and and the funny thing is, I said at the time, outside of the debate, that had the biggest impact on Democrats and Biden's re-election campaign. He was their number one money raiser for the Democrats. And he said he knew immediately this guy cannot handle this. He is not there. And he said people got mad at me, people hated me, but you know what? We shouldn't be afraid to tell the truth. And he was not up for it. He was not at all up for it. And I was like, damn. But it was such a big deal at the time because the average, you guys listening out there, you follow politics a little bit closer. But the 80% of the country, the exhausted majority, that's who I like to speak to. They follow politics every once in a great while. They'll pay attention to kind of like, during the big times, because kind of like the Olympics, right? You don't watch gymnastics or ice skating until it's the Olympics, or swimming, you'll pay attention to it. It's the same thing when it comes to politics for a lot of people. So when George Clooney speaks, his reach is so much greater because the average person was like, wait, what? George Clooney said what? Yeah, he said this guy can't handle anything. Can't handle anything at all. And he doubled and tripled down on it. And I thought, wow, that's because now it's safe, right? There's safety in numbers, and it's all out that this has happened. So you have to have the safety in numbers. And most people are afraid to go against their tribe. And, and trust me, Ken and I were talking about this before the show. You know that somewhere in there, Biden's lucid moments when he learned what was happening, that he totally said, I'm going to screw this whole thing up for all of them.
Yeah.
And he went out and just totally stole their thunder with, I'm going to endorse Kamala.
Yeah, right after he announced he wasn't, he said, and I'm endorsing Kamala Harris.
Yeah, as best he could.
And you didn't hear from Obama for over a week.
No, because they didn't know what to do at that point in time. That was not part of the plan. The plan is we're going to have an open convention. We're going to do this old style, old guys in the back smoking cigarettes trying to figure stuff out. And it died at that moment. And then they had to get behind her because they couldn't be seen as the people that didn't. And the entire time Biden's like, watch this. I'm going to go out and say something horrible a week before on a Zoom call about all the Trump supporters, and we'll attribute some of it to Kamala and how we feel. You guys want to screw me? I'll screw you. Oh, my Lord. Here's a student at the Florida State talking about what's going on and the chaos.
It's definitely shocking to me right now. Generally, Florida State University is a very safe campus. I know they have a good amount of police presence.
They have to. They party hard at Florida State. I don't know if you guys aware of that.
As I was walking back, I see these group of girls crying, really upset, walking back from the student union, told me they heard gunshots, and they just ran and came back to their apartment where I was walking to.
So, I'm sure we're going to find out more. And now the hunt in the world of sleuths that are the internet sleuths. What are people going to find out about this guy? Who was this guy? And again, I said guy because as we talk about the chances of it being a girl, I'm not saying it's not a woman. I know that, women can do stuff, right? But I'm not saying that it can't be. But I'm just saying the chances of it are potentially slim to none. So it is, and God, man, I love the internet, but it is so frustrating, Ken. I'm looking and I'm like, I could tell you 15 different stories I've seen that have given me 5, 6, 8 different answers on how many people really hurt, if there's anybody dead.
Oh, yeah. It's all over the place.
It is. It is all over the place. So much stuff still to get to. Fun stuff. We just don't do serious stuff. Come on, you guys know that. We talked about dishwashers last hour. Somebody brought something up interesting. We were talking about hoarders because it creeps me out. Do you ever know a hoarder? Any of you guys?
I've
Yes.
never known somebody like, quote unquote, diagnosed as a hoarder. But I've known people who
can't throw out an old pizza box.
Can't throw out things, yeah.
My buddies, his mom was a hoarder, and so was his dad, and they had gotten divorced, so the hoarding just moved to 2 places. It was the most disgusting. I couldn't go over there, and when I would leave there, honest to God, I would go home and shower, and I felt sick to my stomach. It was because it's a mental illness.
Oh yes,
and somebody said, the reason maybe his family didn't come over is because after years of fighting, that they, and trying to deal with it, you just throw your hands up because it becomes a relationship ruiner. And I could totally see that. And it was at a point where I'm like, dude, I can't come to your house anymore. I had to tell him. I said, you're gross. The whole thing is gross. And I don't know how anybody lives like that.
What was his response to that? Did you get it?
Yes, he did get it. He was like, he understood because a lot of people felt that way. And it was sad because, I love the guy, but it was so, even thinking about it now makes me sick to my stomach. It's like one of those things where you move a couch and you find a dead cat. That's the kind. Yeah, there's the look. There's the look right there.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that's not a good look. More on what's going on at FSU. We got some tariff stuff to talk about. Bunch of other goodies as well. Tis the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. We're at Prize Picks now. Let me tell you something about Prize Picks. You guys want to go to the championship? That's of the hoops. You know what I'm talking about, basketball? You can win a VIP trip for 2 when you play Prize Picks. You also win up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks is so easy. It takes about 60 seconds. Use my code Chad. Check this out. You play your first $5 lineup. I'm going to tell you how to do that. You get yourself 50 bonus bucks immediately right into your account, win or lose. So how do you play? It's above, it's below. It's that simple. So let's say baseball game, Ohtani. I think he's going to get more than 1.5 hits. Boom. That's above. Let's say basketball. I think LeBron is going to get more than 5.5 rebounds. Boom. There's your lineup set. $5 lineup play gets you 50 bucks instantly. Chance to win 2,000 times your money. And I love this, a chance to go to the VIP championship in a way that you could not believe just by playing. Use my code Chad. Get $50 instantly when you play. That's a bonus. $5 lineup. Immediately go to Prize Picks. Use my code Chad. Prize Picks. Download the app. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be 21, present in Tennessee. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-426-2537.
Florida State University shooting update. President Trump has been briefed. Tennessee lawmakers sending a bill to Governor Lee, who can sign it. It heavily restricts sales of some hemp products that get you high. And Google loses another court battle. All this and more at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I know a lot of you are sending me text messages, and we appreciate that. There's some places I'm not quite sure I trust. Here's the thing about the news and the breaking news stuff. We no longer hold people accountable if they get it wrong. And it's not like you did it on purpose, but it's first mover advantage now. Get it out there. It doesn't matter. You know what? Like, I'll tell you this. What drives me crazy, and I'm sure many of you, if you're ever online, you're watching Reels, you're on Instagram, because we all figure out, we're somewhere and we're like, oh, I'll just scroll through. And next thing you know, you're an hour into scrolling. But when somebody will put somebody like rest in peace so-and-so, and then you go and look, and the guy's not dead, but people just want clicks and likes and stuff. And it is frustrating as can be when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm getting a lot of messages. I don't know what the number is, and it's awful. We do have breaking news. Supreme Court agrees to hear arguments on birthright citizenship. What? This is it. Everything is done in such a way as to get it to the Supreme Court as fast as possible. That's it.
That's what's going on, man.
And that's what he's done. So the Supreme Court is going to listen to birthright citizenship. Doesn't mean they're going to overturn it. Doesn't mean they're going to do anything. They're going to listen to it. They tend not to. They want to give the lower courts all of their due. Let them do their thing. They want to be the last resort. They take stuff up if it interests them because it's something that hasn't been heard before. If it's something new, they'll also take stuff up where, things have changed 50, 60, 70 years ago. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays itself out. I still think they'll uphold it, but you never know. You don't. With this court, I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't. I think, they're going to take this up just like they're going to take up, I'm sure, the bill that, Tennessee is passed when it comes to undocumented and the right to an education. That was always meant to go to the Supreme Court. That's what that's meant for. Let's see. Let's challenge it. Let's see what they say. I think they'll both be upheld, but you never know what could happen. You in this day and age, especially because I think a lot of people thought there's no way they would ever overturn Roe v. Wade. And if you've ever read anything interesting, there's a great story, book out there about how the plan was to overturn Roe v. Wade. That it was 50 years in the making. That they go, hey, we're going to lobby, we're going to be on K Street, which is where all the lobbyists are. We're going to get every Christian conservative, everybody we can. We're going to push hard. We're going to do everything we can to stack the court. And they knew it was going to take a very, very long time. But they knew that they could eventually get there. And maybe they think they've got this set up. I would say people will weigh in. You're going to find some people that go, you know what? There's a chance they could overturn this. You're saying there's a chance. There's also a chance that it could be 9-0. No, we're not touching it. But the fact that they're taking it up is, so far, think about what Trump knew how many of these things were going to be litigated. Pretty much everything. He threw everything he can against the wall. Because you've noticed he's not throwing a lot against the wall right now. He's kind of run out of that thing that you can, that he knows that if for certain things I'm going to need Congress, which is, saying something because they're pretty useless. So we'll see. This is going to be very, very interesting right now. But birthright citizenship is going to be on the docket at the Supreme Court. Ooh. Could you imagine if they overturned it? Oh, the Democrats would lose their blanking mind. They're not going to overturn it. I would find it hard to believe that they would.
That president in El Salvador will be happy.
Yeah, he will. And we got to talk about that. You and I brought up something earlier that I think is that you and I both questioned about this whole thing with this Garcia cat. Mm-hmm. And talk about that, bunch of other stuff. I got crazy sounds just for my man in there. Just for my man,
All
Ken.
right.
Crazy sounds. We'll talk a bit about that as well. You miss any of the show, Bell? What do we say?
Shame, shame, shame. You should have known better.
.1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. At least 6 injured, 1 person in custody after a shooting in the Florida State University Student Union in Tallahassee today. Here's one of the witnesses.
It's definitely shocking to me right now. Generally, Florida State University is a very safe campus. I know they have a good amount of police presence.
So the campus sent out a couple of alerts to shelter in place, stay away from windows as the investigation unfolds. That shelter in place order remains in effect. Here in Tennessee, a bill is headed to Governor Lee, who can sign it into law that restricts sale of certain hemp products that get you high. Products that could be impacted include vapes, hemp flower, and pre-rolled joints. Google on the losing end of a federal judge's ruling today. The judge says Google acted illegally to maintain dominance over some online advertising technology. The Justice Department and several states had sued. This ruling's a major legal blow for Google, adding to a separate ruling last year regarding Google's dominance in the online search market. And a chance encounter between Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers in 2022 on I-40 in Putnam County involving the Salvadoran man arrested in Maryland, then deported last month.
Driving erratically, unable to maintain its lane, and also speeding. So they pulled him over. The driver was, in fact, the same, quote, Maryland man, the El Salvador illegal who was deported.
As Tennessee Star's Michael Patrick Leahy speaking with WTN's Dan Mandis this morning. Leahy says troopers suspected Kilmar Abrego Garcia was trafficking his passengers, but they were ordered by the FBI to let them go. The FBI has not responded to the Tennessee Star's request for an explanation, according to Leahy. Elsewhere in Tennessee, Channel 4 says Vanderbilt University Medical Center confirms in a statement it is ending all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs to comply with executive actions on DEI. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
We'll talk to you guys about my friends over at Berna. And Berna Technologies is amazing. So if you don't know what Berna is, it is a great place to get a non-lethal way to protect yourself. But it's also an amazing way to not break the bank when you're training. So many times people go out training, it costs a ton of money, and people don't train enough, especially when it comes to shooting. Berna's going to help you with that. Having these launchers is incredible. Yes, they have stopping power like you cannot believe. But on top of that, it's a great way to train and get a real feel. And it is amazing. So many police forces across the country are using Berna as their non-lethal way to put a stop to things. And I'm telling you guys right now, the cost to go and train right here locally is nothing comparatively. And to have this opportunity to train that feels like something real is amazing. So right now, 10% off when you go over and see Berna. Tell them I sent you. They're right there in Franklin. Call them. They're open 7 days a week. Go check out the launchers they have. They're amazing. 615-558-0534. 615-558-0534 for Berna Technologies. Okay, Ken, tell me about this bill. Some people are asking, what's the bill with the hemp? Right?
Oh, yeah.
We can't get too high.
Yeah, you can't get too high.
You guys can't get too high. You can get high, but not that high.
Now, the Senate and the Tennessee Senate and House have sent a bill to Governor Lee, who can sign it into law, that restricts the sale of certain hemp products that get you high. Notably, that would be the hemp flower. That when you smoke it, it exceeds the federal allowable limit of 0.3% of THC, which is the chemical that gets you high. So the hemp flower is definitely going to be banned. It looks like any pre-rolled joints that you can currently buy in the dispensaries, those will be banned. And then vapes will be banned if they exceed the 0.3% federal allowable limit of THC.
Do we know where Lee is with this bill?
I have not heard.
Is he a big smoker? I don't think he is.
I wouldn't think
But
Governor Lee is token up.
There's been bills in the past that he was against, that he just allowed to become law without his signature, because there's a supermajority, and if
they can override it.
If they want the law, they're getting the law.
Yeah, and that's look, I'm one of these, I'm a teetotaler. For those of you guys who don't know, I don't drink. I don't smoke.
You don't do anything.
And in fact, I've never even had a taste of alcohol. So I'm one of these teetotalers. If I go in, I was telling everybody when I first moved out here, I had to go have a tooth removed. And I'm like, just pull it. We're good. I don't need anything. Ibuprofen. I'm going to be fine. I don't like that stuff. Never have. I grew up in a family, drugs, alcohol, that stuff. It was awful. But
yeah.
I don't care if, this is one of those ridiculous things where it's like, really? Like, are we doing this? Like, I feel like you almost got to go out of your way.
It's a boogeyman that they're pretending to save us from.
Yeah.
It's not a real boogeyman. It's not that big of a deal. If you have an issue with it, you know what? Don't ingest it. And if you do have an issue, if you don't have an issue with it and you do choose to ingest it, then just be responsible when you do, just like you would with alcohol.
Which is hard, man. I think you're absolutely right about the boogeyman thing. Same thing with the vape. Somebody asked earlier, like, what's going on with all the vape stuff and taking the other flavors? It's like, here's the thing about the Republicans. They talk the great game about, they want to be about the freedoms and give you all these kind of things, but then they would come in and regulate the hell out of every stuff. Well, this could lead to, you know what leads to stuff? Alcohol. Very rarely do my friends like, I started straight with heroin.
Yeah, you can buy as much alcohol as you want.
Exactly.
I went from 7th grade to meth.
It's like, and I look at this and the boogeyman that they're looking for. Stop trying to. They regulate the hell out of everything, and it is frustrating. And like I said, I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't care that you do. And if you're going to be irresponsible, this doesn't stop anybody from smoking weed. You're going to go get it. Right? I mean, if you want to smoke, if you want to wake and bake, you're going to go do it.
Yeah, and the law be damned, because people right now, if they want to smoke pot, they smoke pot.
This would have been, the safest way, this could send some people back to the black market, which then totally. you don't know what you're getting.
Oh, it definitely
then.
will. Yeah, Ken's right. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen.
And you have no idea what you're getting then.
No, you don't. Now,
you could be going for some flour and get some fentanyl instead.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is a scary thing. And you're also losing tax revenue, which is something.
Yeah, Georgia they are ecstatic because I think you can still get hemp flour in Georgia. So the smokers will definitely be headed down Chattanooga way.
Now, if you're caught with it,
you'll be in trouble.
So
well, is it Davidson County that decriminalized?
Yeah, the district attorney Glenn Funk has said that he would not be prosecuting cases involving small amounts of marijuana.
Which is just it's such a explain to me what is the difference between going home and having a couple pops at night of wine or like Belle goes home every night. It's like, dude, I had a couple Zimas last night. I relaxed, I put my feet up, did my hair.
It's not Zimas, they're wine coolers, you bastard.
I had some Bartles and James. And I went back in time, got me some of those. But no, what's the difference with going home and having a few beers or having a hit and just relaxing, having some gummies?
Yeah.
It's just, it's like Republicans, the overreach at times of wanting to control, these things. Well, I'm doing it because it's going to break down society. Trust me, society's got a lot of problems, and there's other things you could be working on that would probably benefit us a little bit more. That's why I wish After was here, because we were hoping to talk about Real Idea, but like the pot for potholes.
Yeah.
We got potholes. I can tell you, that brings people more headaches than anything else, whether or not somebody's smoking a little weed.
Yeah, and again, you can buy all the liquor you want.
Yeah, that's true.
Go out there and drive around.
And they're not getting rid of hemp. They're getting rid of hemp that they feel is too much.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's they want to bring it in. They want to bring it under the, like I said, the 0.3% THC level, which that's the federal allowable limit. And with the flower, what the argument is with the flower, before you smoke it, there's no way to tell how much THC is in it until you do smoke it, and apparently it comes up in an exceedance of that 0.3%.
So it's
Let's
a surprise.
check the fun meter. Oh, there's too much fun on this.
There's too much fun. Yeah.
Now, I don't know what this does to gummies or seltzers now. I mean, you can buy THC seltzers in liquor stores. I mean, this does move the hemp industry under control of the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
Which is, hemp, man, that thing's got just anytime they go after hemp, and again, I don't partake. Somebody said, do you partake? No, I don't. I don't do anything. I don't care if anybody does. I don't. I've never, but it's just the hypocrisy of always wanting to overregulate, come in and control, come in and take, both sides do it.
We have to save people from themselves.
No, you don't. You don't have to save anybody from themselves.
Somebody might smoke this and fall down.
What if you did? I don't care if you wake and bake in the morning. Let me tell you something. Some of you guys
wake and bake.
Yeah. And somebody said it's about, it is about the lobbyists. I always said eventually.
It's money.
It is money. Eventually,
it all comes
the
down
weed
to money.
lobbyist is going to get so powerful, and it's almost there, where the money is going to be so big that the feds will have no choice but to say, the problem with the feds and the weed is saying tomorrow, let's just say they decide we're going to legalize it. Well, how many people do you have in jail? Mostly black young men and black, now old men, who've done.
Thank you, Joe.
Who've done years and decades in prison.
For selling a little bit of grass.
For selling a little bit of weed. Grass, like you said, not even weed, grass. And it's odd that you can go, 100 miles this way and it's totally legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's just it's a bizarre situation, but the overreach of trying to, we can't let you do that because what if you guys had fun? What? And then they'll come up and somebody will text us, I'm sure, that'll say, well, it's the gateway drug.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Cigarettes are the gateway drug.
Cigarettes and alcohol.
Cigarettes and booze, baby.
All my friends who partied when I was a kid, first thing they did was drink. I never had anybody smoked weed first.
Yeah, it's always alcohol.
It's always alcohol. And where'd they get that? It's in mom and dad's house, right? It's in they're like, they a little place there for their booze or their beer or whatever. That's where it's at.
Little town I grew up in, it was a little bait shop.
Yeah.
They just sell it to us.
Like you said, though, man, this is designed to prevent people from just deciding to wake up one morning and decide to do drugs and start with heroin. Because that's so common.
Yeah, well, it happens all the time. God turned water into wine, but he should have turned mud into bud. Oh, my goodness. I want the helmet law done away also. You know what? I got no problem. That's the weird thing. Coming from California, first of all, Arizona was open carry.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no helmet law in California. So it's weird to see somebody riding around on a bike with no helmet. And I thought to myself, I don't care.
Yeah, and if you choose not to wear a seatbelt or you choose not to wear a helmet, you're not incredibly smart. But government's job is not to save you from yourself.
No, it's not. But they think it is because they have to justify we're doing this. It's enough.
Plus, they're able to take it, twist it, and make revenue off of it.
And what do they do? Like, remember, Colorado was the first one to go, okay, we're just going to let everybody get stoned.
Yeah.
And then they kind of let it get out of control where, like, you'd walk down anywhere in Denver, you're like, oh, my God, right? But, but what did they do? Same thing in California. They charged so much tax that everybody went back to their old dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they couldn't afford it anymore. Right? So,
you cannot provide a better deal financially than the black market can. And if you tax things to a certain point, you're just simply boosting the black market.
So
I'm not saying that, you make the stuff free and we hand it out on every street corner, but stop pretending like you're controlling people because you're not. If somebody wants to smoke pot, they smoke pot.
Well, you drive people, like you said, back underground.
Yeah.
And then they go, and like I said, you don't know what they're getting. Fentanyl could be in some of these things, but you drive them, you take away the tax revenue on yourself. You make it so onerous is to operate. I mean, the ridiculousness of the fact that even in places where it's legal, they can't even get a bank account.
Jason brings up a really good point.
That's
He's thankful for the legislation because it saved him. Otherwise, he would have done some of that flour and woke up the next morning selling his body.
That would have been horrible.
Yeah, we can't have that. We're protecting Jason from himself.
So ask Ken about when he thought he was getting pulled over with weed in his trunk.
It wasn't in my trunk. It was in my back seat.
Oh.
And it was about a quarter pound of it that my cousin just gave to me because he grew trees of it.
Oh, my Lord.
God, I need to be related to you.
State trooper got in front of me and one was behind me.
Damn. Look at you, man. You was moving weight.
What state was it?
It was in Oklahoma.
And
I was 19.
Oh, wow.
And, my car, I don't think I had a tag. And I just said, okay, here we go.
You learned your lesson. Don't challenge
it. How terrified were you?
Don't challenge nanny government.
I was scared to death, man. I mean, I thought we went along like that for 8 miles.
Did you think for a second, man, they pulled me over, I'm going to jail forever?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because back then they would put
back
especially
then.
for
Are you
a quarter
kidding me?
pound.
Yeah, you might as well have had a dead body.
Yeah, but got to this little bitty town called Beggs, Oklahoma, that was basically at the time a service station and a post office, and the troopers turned off there, pulled it beside each other. I guess they were on break, and I went on my merry way.
You got home, you smoked all of that, so you never had to worry about it again.
Well, I was actually telling God, I'll never do it again, Jesus. I'll never do it again.
That is when Ken became a Rastafarian.
That's when Ken started lying to our Lord and Savior.
Ken's like, Lord, I'm never going to do that again. I'm so sorry for that. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah. But, man, with my cousin, I had free access to it. Wow. He was a great farmer.
Was his farm called Tegrity?
Tegrity Farms, baby. Look at all the people. You know what's funny?
Until the day the helicopters flew over. That's when then his children were born and he stopped farming.
Oh, that's a bummer. Nowadays, I mean, the money
he'd
they
be
make.
rich now.
Yeah, nowadays. I've got a buddy, radio guy. I won't say who he is, but I think he's just retired. He's got a ton of farmland near Boston in Massachusetts, like a ton. And I'm like, it's worth millions to sell. He goes, man, I'm making more money than I've ever dreamed of because it's all the growers have come out and bought or at least all this land for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do a thing. Crazy. Who knows what we'll talk about coming up? We've been talking about weed. We could talk about what's going on in Florida State. Maybe I'll surprise you with some fun stuff. I think the computers are working again. They kind of froze. If you're missing the show, grab the podcast. It is Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. There's gold out there, kids. And gold is important. I'll tell you why. It's an asset that you can hold on to. It's an asset that in times of uncertainty, the value goes up. But it's just a great place to diversify. And it's an asset that just in case hits the fan, kids, the opportunity for you to make sure that you're protected in the downside of things, to find out that gold's going to go in the upside of things is fantastic. You work hard for all those things in life. Protect your today, tomorrow, and beyond with an asset like gold. Birch Gold's going to help you with that. Text the word Benson to 989898 today. They're going to get you out a free info kit. Talk about gold, why smart people head over there to, in times like this, away from things that are potentially just too hot and too uncertain. And it's a great way to balance and diversify what you've got out there. It doesn't cost anything. Text the word Benson to 989898 today for my gold company, Birch Gold.
Florida State University shooting update, and Tennessee lawmakers pass a bill heavily restricting certain hemp products that you can smoke to get high. We'll tell you about it at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Not anymore, you can't. No fun. You bunch of
I heard yesterday that if the governor was to sign it or it is just allowed to become law, it wouldn't take effect until January 1st.
So you got your time to go get your flour. Stock up on your flour.
And I mean, if that's the case, they've got to give some of these dispensaries time to comply without just rolling through there and
there's a perfect. We have a dispensary right up the street here, across the street from where I live, and it's funny because they used to have Bob Marley on the side of. I mean, it's like a 2-story thing, and they had Bob Marley on it.
Yeah,
and then they've changed it. And my daughter's 6. She goes, "What happened to Bob?" One day. She's good. You good? You get that? I said, and they put somebody else up there, and my wife's like, "Why did they get rid of Bob?" And I said, I'm gonna be honest. I said, a 21-year-old may not really be familiar with Bob.
Yeah.
Because I think they put up, they're adding somebody new. I said, this a little bit probably more contemporary. But like the dispensaries, you got to, like you said, you got to give them time.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. By the way, Ray chimed in about you, Belle. Tell the Taylor Swift lover, that'd be you, if you have an accident on a motorcycle, you're more than likely not going to survive anyway, whether you have that helmet on or not. Should be my choice. I believe those that like Taylor Swift aren't very smart.
Well, I agree with Ray, so I have to be an idiot.
Well, yeah, you do. That's one of those things where what you said and what they heard
are two different things.
Two different things. So that
never happens.
Yeah, I used to do. In fact, I'm gonna pick it up again because I get a lot of that here. What I say sometimes and what you guys hear is, and you're busy, you're doing something, and you hear a portion of this or a portion of that, and then you're like, because it's funny, Bella and I and you, Ken, we'll be talking, and then somebody will just like, all caps, you guys are stupid, that's da-da-da, and you're like, that's not even close to what I said. It's like a game of telephone, but most of us speak perfect English. So, man, Jason said he's been misquoted. I don't know what you did to hurt his feelings there, Belle. Oh.
I didn't use the curse words he did in the text.
Yeah. We can't do that, man. What do you think this is, the YouTube? We do have a YouTube. We don't have a Rumble yet.
Not a Rumble yet.
But we are rumbling and bumbling down there. We've got our Twitch. Every day I threaten to go to Twitch.
I've got a Twitch account, I believe.
You play video games and smoke weed?
No.
Smoke flower?
I smoke flower and I bowl on my Wii.
Is that the game you play? Bowling?
Yeah, bowling and what's the air? You can fly around in an airplane.
Oh,
on
cool.
the Wii Resort Island.
Oh, check that out. Man, look at you.
Yeah, dude, we dug our Wii. We bought this Wii like back in 2006, and it's just been sitting in our storage and in our closet. And I ran across it several months ago, and I thought, I'm going to plug this thing in and see if it works. And it still does.
Nice.
Now, you can't get online on it anymore because, I don't know, something happened where they stopped.
Took the servers down,
Took the servers down off of it. But, man, you can still play the games.
I love that. I play, you play the Oculus? Oh, man, tell you what.
Isn't that the VR glasses?
I bowl. I'm not saying I'm great, but I'm pretty good.
All right.
And you know what's great, too, is I don't hurt my arm. Like, because you go bowling now as an adult, like 2 days later, I can't lift my arm.
How heavy is the ball you use?
400 pounds.
No, I mean on the video game.
Like 16. It's 16 per 10. It's 16 per 10 pounds.
It doesn't really exist.
I also box. That's fun,
Oh, yeah, we
too.
got boxing.
Who do you box?
Yeah.
Charlie? Your daughter?
No, you can go on there and box, but here's the thing. You got to make sure you draw the ring, and every once in a while, you'll hit a wall.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Oh, my Lord. All right, coming up, hour number 3 of the program on this beautiful Friday light. Ooh, see, instead of saying it was Friday Eve, it's Friday light. It is Chad Ben's Show, Super Talk 997.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. At least 6 people are injured, police say, and a suspect in custody after an active shooter incident at Florida State University in Tallahassee. When shots rang out, FSU issued an emergency alert telling people to shelter in place. ABC's Victor Oquendo says the FBI also on scene and it could take time to clear the area.
It is a sprawling campus. If this did happen at the student union in the middle of the day on a Thursday, I can't imagine how many students, the teachers, how many people would have been around that student union right now. Last check, Florida State University is still telling their students to continue to shelter in place.
Students who were able to evacuate reacting to the shooting.
It's definitely shocking to me right now. Generally, Florida State University is a very safe campus. I know they have a good amount of police presence.
President Trump at the White House says he's been briefed and called the shooting, quote, horrible.
Here in Tennessee, a bill headed to Governor Lee, who can sign it into law that restricts sales of certain hemp products that get you high. Products that will be impacted likely include vapes, hemp flour, and pre-rolled joints. Back in our nation's capital, the Supreme Court will hear arguments May 15th on President Trump's emergency requests to roll back 3 nationwide injunctions on his executive order to end birthright citizenship. Here's Devin Dwyer.
The Supreme Court answered the question 128 years ago that the 14th Amendment means what it says. People born in the United States are U.S. citizens. Trump thinks he has a different interpretation. He went to the Supreme Court with this emergency request asking the justices to look at it again.
And they will on May 15th. Google on the losing end of a federal judge's ruling today. The judge says Google acted illegally to maintain dominance over some online advertising technology the Justice Department, several states had sued over. This ruling's a major legal blow for Google, adding to a separate ruling in August that said Google is illegally dominating the online search market. And a chance encounter between Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers in 2022 on I-40, about 90 miles east of Nashville in Putnam County, and the Salvadoran man arrested in Maryland and then deported last month. The Tennessee Star's Michael Patrick Leahy, speaking with WTN's Dan Mandis this morning, says troopers suspected Kilmar Abrego Garcia was trafficking his passengers, but they were ordered by the FBI to let him go.
Take a picture of everybody in the van, take a picture of all its contents, which they did, and which apparently the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security still has in its possession. Then the traffic stop was an hour and 45 minutes. At the end of it, our sources say the FBI, quote, requested that Kilmar Abrego Garcia and his 7 traveling companions be released.
The FBI has not responded to the Tennessee Star's request for an explanation, according to Leahy. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Still monitoring what's going on out there. FSU, at least 6 hurt, suspect in custody. We know nothing about the suspect, and I've seen some photos of this person's been arrested, and then other people are like, don't believe that. That's from such. It's the internet, people. It's the internet. So we'll keep you attuned to what is going on in that situation there. And there has been reports of deaths, but I don't know. Again, I don't know. Ken and I talk about I will double, triple check stuff.
Absolutely, dude. That's what you got to do.
Birthright citizenship coming under the microscope of SCOTUS. Finally, Trump has got what he's planned all along, which is this to the court.
The Supreme Court answered the question 128 years ago that the 14th Amendment means what it says. People born in the United States are U.S. citizens. Trump thinks he has a different interpretation. He went to the Supreme Court with this emergency request asking the justices to look at it again.
And they're going to look at it. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know I have no idea how they're going to rule. I would say if I had to put money on it, they would rule to keep it in place.
I agree with you.
But I don't know. It's I don't know how are they presented. Is it going to be like you have to be for X amount of years here? I don't know.
Well, we've got some pretty dedicated originalists on the court,
and they don't like to touch stuff in the past.
Yeah, and if it says "born in the USA," then they're going to probably take it that way.
Yeah, I think so too. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 7-2-8-1, maybe even 9-0. So, and you can tell when these things are argued. You can usually tell the way they're argued is kind of, and the questions that are asked is kind of where things are going. So this will be very interesting indeed. Ken and I were talking about something before the show, and this whole thing with this Garcia cat.
Abrego Garcia.
Abrego Garcia, who is in El Salvador. He's from El Salvador. Court order was he was to be deported, but El Salvador is one place he wasn't supposed to be, but he's an El Salvadoran citizen. He's there. My question is, because they're going to him and haw, but Ken and I were talking about it. We brought it up a couple times is, why is he in jail?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, because it wasn't like he was, as far as I can see and everywhere I've read, he hadn't been convicted of a crime in El Salvador. And he hasn't gone to court in El Salvador. And he didn't break a crime here that would cause him to go to court, to go to in jail to El Salvador. How long is he staying in that prison? And I mean, it's just, if we're going to send people there, we should at least kind of know, okay, what's the deal? The due process side of it, I heard Matt mention it. We've talked about it. I've talked about it on my other show. You can say, we're going to take him to the American embassy. We're going to do a Zoom call or whatever, Skype. They got rid of Skype, so we're doing a Zoom call. And we're going to have a hearing there, and we'll decide whether or not he should be brought back. Therefore, it satisfies everybody. You can fly his lawyer down there. They can get down there. And there you go.
Well, and one thing, too, correct me if I'm mistaken, in the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling on this, the term facilitate his return, I don't think they put a timeline on that.
No. And that's one of those things where they can run this clock out for a long time. Because facilitate doesn't mean we're doing everything in our power. He's not a citizen here. He's in that country. That's his home country. So we're not asking him to be extradited because coming here illegally, that's the nightmare that the Supreme Court recognizes. Okay, you shouldn't have done this, and we can't strip the lower courts of their rules. There has to be some sort of conversation and consequences around what happened. But you didn't give us a timeline. You didn't say by April 30th, noon, he has to be here or somebody on your team is going to be held in contempt. They said you had to try. Yeah. Whatever that means, and forever long. So take him over to the embassy. Get him in front of a judge. We did it for COVID. And give him the hearing there. Have his attorney go down there. I'm sure, the clown, Chris Van Hollen would fly him down there. And you're at an embassy, so you're on American soil in theory, and they can hear the case. They can listen. And if the guy that's the judge, and I'm assuming it's a guy, right, because we don't let women be judges, but I'm kidding. Next thing you know, they'll want to be pilots. So, they're doing that too? What is this all about? But, so you give them the full hearing. And if they say, you know what, he should be back here in our custody or wherever, he should be back here in the United States, then you bring him back. But what's going to happen is he's already got an order to be removed. And even if he landed here and they brought him back, Holman and the guys can just roll in there. They would grab him and say, all right, now we've got to find a nation that'll take you. And it's that simple. But the question about the jail thing, I do have a question about that. Because you haven't committed a crime here that, if you're accused of something, that's on them. But it's weird that it's going to be hard if we think they're going to be sending people. And this is where Trump may run into some stuff. And if I was arguing the case, I would say, and I like to take the other side of things. It's good every once in a while. You need to step back and go, let me look at it from another way. I would say, Your Honor, they're going to send people there who aren't going to get due process, who are going to get put into place where there's a potential for them to be tortured, having committed no crime in that country, that they're asking him to be extradited. And they may say, yeah, you know what? We can't allow that because they haven't been committed of crime. They're not getting a due process there. And we're knowingly sending them somewhere where they're going to be put in prison. So, take the other side of it for just a moment and find out, well, is this a possibility that they could use this kind of situation where they're throwing them immediately in jail? And the Venezuelan thing is a little odd, too, because they shipped all those Venezuelans there, and Venezuela is taking their people again, and then they're put in jail in Venezuela. They didn't commit a crime in El Salvador. So try to work backwards in some of these things and think, how could you attack this? And if you are defending it, how do you defend something like that? Law enforcement officials say there was only one shooter at Florida State. One person critical, 5 in serious condition. And that's where we stand at this moment in time, which is, the fact that nobody's dead. We don't know what the motive is. We don't know what the shooter was after. We don't know if there was, as the kids would call it, beef. But judging by what I saw, which I think some of these videos are real, somebody laying on the lawn, it looks like it had been shot, and it's at FSU. Judging by that, it doesn't look like there was beef. It looks more random. So that means that maybe somebody was really, after something. After, trying to make a name for themselves. On a Thursday at Florida State. Just bizarre. What the hell's wrong with people? What the hell is wrong with people? How did we get to this point? Mental illness? It's possible. That guy in Pennsylvania, if you guys haven't seen, man, I saw him. They brought him out of the thing, put him in the car the other day. He looks as crazy as a crap house rat.
Oh, yeah, the governor's arsonist.
That guy looks so... His writings, too, are all over the place.
And I think his mother says he's bipolar.
Yeah, and he's obviously not medicated. Just, sometimes crazy is just crazy. You know what I mean? Like sometimes everybody's looking for some sort of... what about this and what about that? And this, and they're looking for the conspiracy. And sometimes crazy is just that. It's just they're not well. DEI, obviously under the microscope. And yes, under the microscope here in Tennessee.
Senator Blackburn is asking VUMC or Vanderbilt Medical Center to be more clear on their DEI policies. And then while she's at it, she's also asking them to dismantle all of these programs immediately. Now, the letter from Blackburn questions why Vanderbilt removed details from its website about its DEI department, including trainings and staff names. It follows a campaign from Consumers Research, a national group that put up billboards and launched the website whatisvandyhiding.org, suggesting the medical center is masking some programs from the public.
I think a lot of colleges are trying to figure out how to do that, right? You've heard that like Columbia and several others have come out and said, no, we're going to totally comply. And then behind closed doors, it's getting out that they're like, we're saying we are, but we're just going to do whatever the hell we want to do.
Supposedly they had ended all of these, but then we found out that they are now behind the paywall and the programs are continuing at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center. It is appropriate that these programs stop.
Stop these programs. Stop them now. And they said today that they're going to do everything to comply because they want that money. And, they need some of these. Harvard's got $54 billion. They can afford to go a little while, right? Nobody's not going to eat. It was like, we can't eat now. And, one of the things that's going to affect these colleges, I think, more than a lot of people think. So when you're a student that's a foreigner, very rarely are you coming here on any kind of scholarship or grant. A vast majority of them pay retail up front. So, and some of these colleges have 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 students that are paying huge money. And they're seeing a huge drop in people applying to come here because they're worried. And I would be worried too. Even if you're, even if you're here and you make a joke about something, if you feel like you're going to get, you're under the microscope for everything, I understand that.
In a statement to Fox 17 News, VUMC responded saying, part, quote, Vanderbilt University Medical Center is eliminating all DEI programs and is fully complying with executive actions on DEI, saying that they removed related content on their web shortly after the executive order to reflect the end of these programs, denying any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, Consumers Research is applauding Senator Blackburn, going on to say, quote, if hospitals believe they are entitled to an exemption from the rules, as many seem they do, they are just plain wrong. Every year, Vanderbilt Medical Center receives over $500 million in federal funding.
That's a nice chunk of change. That's a big chunk. That's
a whole bunch of money.
That is a whole bunch. That puts a hurting on it. They've got $38 billion, give or take, in their endowment. Vanderbilt's, it's not a poor person's school. That's not 13th grade. That's not junior college.
13th grade.
That's what junior college is, 13th grade. What did Chris Rock said? It's like a disco with books. You ever been to junior college? It's 13th grade. It is. I'm like, do they have a prom? Maybe.
I went to college for about a month.
How'd that go for you?
Oh, it did not go well.
My buddy was the epitome of everything you think like a frat house movie would be. I'm like, dude, you failed bowling? He's like, it was so early. I go, you went to school for a year? And he goes, I was on the dean's list. Yeah, you had like a 1.1 grade point average. And the only reason you got that 1 point something is because you went to a class and they needed you for the bodies. And so they said they'd give you like a C and you never had to do anything. Just register. Kind of like, what's his name, did down in Florida State when he taught The Machine. You ever seen, what's the comic? Bert Kreischer talk about when he learned Russian and he went to class. They needed 10 people. He was the 10th. It's a great story. If you've never seen it, check it out.
8280 said junior college is just high school with asterisks.
It is. It is. That's exactly what it is. Junior
Space to vape.
So funny. It's exactly what junior college is. It's community college. What did what's his name? Nate Bargatze said he went to community college.
Yeah.
He said that's a college where they figure you're just going to stay in the community.
Yeah. And he talks about all the remedial classes he had to take because they're like, we don't even know how you got out of high school and we're going to look into it, but here's some remedial classes.
Here's some stuff. Can you spell? Not well. I'm not a gooder speller like I used to be. Coming up, a lot of other stuff. We got some more going on in Florida State. What's happening there, the latest there. We've got some more interesting stuff. Book bans, lawsuits coming, book bans. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997. Lean into this. Now, what is lean? Yo-yo dieting is awful and it's bad for you. It leads to not only frustration, but it also puts you in a position where the more you do it, the more it hurts you in ways like increased risk of stroke, heart attack, type 2 diabetes. You don't want that. What you want to do is get off the yo-yo dieting, and that's why science and the doctors have come together with lean. Now, what is lean? It's natural. It's amazing. You take it once a day. No shots, no prescriptions. It is 3 pills. The energy level you're going to feel is awesome. It's going to help maintain your blood sugar. It is also going to help you fight the thing that really costs so many of us, the cravings, the food noise, which is great. And it turns that plumpness, that chunkiness, that fat into energy and burns it off. It is awesome. Try lean now. Get off the yo-yo dieting insanity with lean. Go to takelean.com. Use code Benson20. You can get 20% off to start. Code Benson20 at takelean.com.
All right, drivers, Williamson County, the right lane is blocked. 65 southbound at Concord Road in Brentwood. TDOT reporting a crash there. And I just saw a news alert where the danger on the campus of Florida State University after the shooting there in the student union, the threat has been neutralized. We'll get you an update on that at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
When they say neutralized, that usually means it's no longer with us.
Could be.
So we know nothing about who that person is. Could be a woman. Probably not, though. I'm a person who, I love equality, right? Like we just those women astronauts that just went up in space, Gail King.
Katy Perry.
So I went through, it takes about 10 years to become an astronaut. You have to go through all kinds, like scuba diving. You think, what? No, the stuff they make you go through is tremendous. But I did look up and found all the stuff that these women went through, about 7 months of some training. You know, they're not flying the ship. Right? They shoot it straight up in the air and it comes back down.
You don't be so sure. If there's one of those things ever crashes, we'll be certain a woman was right.
Exactly, right? We'll probably think I'll have Delta on the side of it.
All right, just kidding, lady. Stop it.
Oh, my God. That's Bell, everybody. You should have heard what he said earlier today.
I didn't say anything.
It was so bad. But because I was like, they went through several trainings for weightlessness and like getting used to some G forces. They went through, they did about 7 months of training. Now, is it real? No, because it's not really. You're not going to space the way that you're not orbiting the Earth a whole bunch of times and up there for weeks and driving stuff. It's a different thing. But, they had to go through some stuff. I mean, you'd want to train for it. Now, do you think, would you do it?
Yes, I would have to do it.
Yeah, if they asked you.
I'd have to. It's too much of a opportunity to do something that most people never get the chance to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of those things. Like, I would do it if you came and said, "Hey, we're doing this now." I'd go, "Okay, let's go." If you gave me a whole bunch of time to think,
you might turn it down.
I'm kind of impulsive, but then I'm like, "Whoa, hold on a second."
But if I do end up doing that,
yeah,
and you don't call me an astronaut after the fact, we have beef.
Well, I would never call you an astronaut
because at this point, Katy Perry is an astronaut, and I don't want to live in a world where she's not.
She is she's astronauty.
That's terrible.
What about Gayle King?
She is. Well, she's absolutely
an
astronaut. You guys know that. She goes, I still get, it's so weird for me. Like, she was, you know what it is? You're a privileged nut, right? You got privilege. Nobody, if you're Gayle King, the accountant, your ass is never going to space.
No.
No, right? If you're Katy Perry and, you're a mom that's a teacher and an assistant principal in, Oshkosh Bagosh, you're never going to space. But you're a rock star.
Well, his whole point of doing this is to generate the press for the company, and you do that by putting recognizable names into the rocket, like when William Shatner did it. I mean, it was a big deal for a 90-year-old to go into space.
Captain Kirk.
Yeah. And he was at one time he really did captain an actual spaceship at a lot in Southern California, but still.
Desilu.
Yeah, Desilu Productions. People don't know that. Lucy saved that thing.
Energize.
That was a Lucy production for the most part. But call them whatever they want. It's not that. The reality is you're privileged, not. That's what you are. You got privilege because of your fame to go to space.
Yeah, you're not tell Gayle King that.
I would. I'd tell right to her face.
Yeah, Bezos isn't inviting the local real estate agent or the local insurance agency to send people over.
Yeah, you don't see they're not snatching somebody off the street going, "Hey, Jim, I know that you're struggling, right? You can't make rent, right? You're living with your mom."
Certainly not going to be a hemp grower in Tennessee.
No, it's not.
That's the truth.
It's not some person is like, "Hey, I get it. You've had some trouble, right? You're behind on your car payments and you're hiding them. You're hiding your car so they don't repo it, right? You're 6 months behind on your child support. We'd love to send you in space."
We might leave you there.
Called Poor Nuts. Their little thing would come back down. It's all white trash. It's missing a wheel.
Got his tail light out.
Registration's overdue. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, drivers, a reminder in Williamson County, the right lane is blocked by a crash. 65 southbound at Concord Road there in Brentwood. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Florida State University's Tallahassee campus, the scene of the nation's latest mass shooting.
I was in the building across the street. There was people who often work on my floor that were outside when it occurred and ran up to the third floor as the sirens to take shelter were going off in the building.
That's Daniela Streety, who was on campus when it happened, telling ABC News more about what she witnessed.
I did see at least one. The law enforcement had took that person out on a stretcher and laid them in the street until EMS showed up. There was one person across the way that seemed to get escorted in an office chair with wheels.
So the latest we're getting is at least one person killed, 6 others injured, according to multiple law enforcement sources. One person taken into custody. Also saw a news alert that the threat has been neutralized. Here in Tennessee, the legislature sending Governor Lee a bill he can sign into law that restricts the sale of hemp products that exceed the federal allowable level of THC, the chemical that gets you high. For instance, hemp flower. When you burn it, it exceeds 0.3% THC. So products that might be taken away are vapes, hemp flower, and pre-rolled joints. Back in our nation's capital, the Supreme Court going to hear arguments May 15th on President Trump's emergency requests to roll back 3 nationwide injunctions on his executive order to end birthright citizenship. Here's Devin Dwyer.
The Supreme Court answered the question 128 years ago that the 14th Amendment means what it says. People born in the United States are U.S. citizens. Trump thinks he has a different interpretation. He went to the Supreme Court with this emergency request asking the justices to look at it again.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee Plumbing, HVAC, Busy Bee. This is what I want you to do. They got great deals going on right now. First and foremost, take it from me. They're going to treat you amazing. They're incredible. Gary, Nathan, the entire team over there, plumbing, HVAC, they are amazing. But join the Beehive Club. So you get your discounts, right? You're part of the club now, which is always good. And, you know, a couple inspections a year takes care of that membership. It's awesome. They've got spring cleaning giveaways. They've got Breathe Easy things going on right now. They got deep clean drain detox. They've got all kinds of things on top of the fact that maybe you just need somebody to come in, take out, give a little look into the drains. Maybe go and say, hey, I need a little deep cleaning here because my HVAC, I'm worried about summer coming. It's going to be hot. Let them handle it for you. Busy Bee does it right like nobody else. Call them today, 775-7833. That's 775-7833. Or check out online all the great things they do and go see all their reviews. They're amazing. Visit busybeehvac.com. Ruff Greens, RUFFgreens.com. Use my code Chad. If you love your animals like I love my animals, take the 90-day challenge with Ruff Greens. Not going to cost you anything to start. They're going to give you a $20 value bag for free when you go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. Use my code Chad. Then the 90-day challenge. Man, it's awesome. What's it going to do for your dog? First 30 days, what you're going to notice. 1 scoop a day. That's it. The supplements are great. 1 scoop a day. First 30 days, you're going to be like, whoa, more energy for my dog, shinier coat. Day 60. Immune system's improved. They're more limber, right? You're seeing some mobility that maybe you haven't seen for a while. They're just happier. Coat still very shiny and thick. By day 90, heart health, immunity. We can go on and on about the amazing things that you're going to see over these 90 days. It's incredible. Your dog's going to be healthier and happier than they've been in a long time. And the great news is it's going to save you money in the long run when it comes to your vet. Ooh, yeah. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Ruff Greens for free. Take the 90-day challenge. Go to ruffgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad. Use my code Chad. $20 value bag, absolutely free. ruffgreens.com/Chad. So, man, Elon Musk has lowered the Doge savings from $2 trillion to $150 billion, with many of those savings potentially also in litigation, if you will. So, not quite getting the savings we want. I said this, and it is frustrating. The amount of bureaucracy that he faces. He will get to Mars and populate it with a colony first before he gets through the bureaucracy in the courts the way that he was hoping. And it's not that's just the way they set this up, and the powers that the federal unions have had it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. Earlier today, Chris Van Hollen, the guy who decided he was going to go and be the white savior in El Salvador for Mr. Garcia, is out, talking, doing his thing, and because he's going to save everybody because Trump's evil.
So I do intend to keep at this until we ensure that Mr. Abrego Garcia has his rights to due process, which is what the courts of the United States have called for.
And I've been some of you get upset, very open and honest. Due process is wonderful. When you give people due process, and the due process, there are different levels of what you get. If you're a green card holder, you're going to, like the Mahmoud Khalil thing is going to be much different than, say, somebody who's come here illegally. He'll have more rights. The person who's got a student visa will have more rights because we've welcomed them. We've brought this person, not so much, but there's a certain level of due process. And so when I said earlier, the problem that I had and Ken and I were talking about is the fact that he's just in jail there. And we sent somebody there and everybody's like, well, that's their issue. No, but what happens is now going forward, you have given the Democrats, they'll screw it up. They'll figure it out. But you've given the Democrats an opportunity now to go, CCOT is a place where horrific things happen. CCOT is a place where torture, whatever they come up with, because I don't know. What I do know is it looks miserable. And we can all see that if you've not seen it. And to send somebody there is tantamount to, undue harm and punishment. So we can't do that. And there is no due process there. And you'll find courts probably, even courts that are on the right, more sympathetic to that. Now, it doesn't mean you can't deport somebody, but it's finding a place that you're going to send somebody that's going to be an issue. That's why you measure 3 times, cut once, give this guy's due process, put him into our State Department, go over there to the embassy, do the whole 9 yards, do a Zoom call, watch what happens from there. But that's the argument I would make. And think about it. So those of you texting, just get rid of it. It doesn't matter. He's not American. Think about what's coming in the court cases. Take it from there. How would you argue it if you had to? I always tell everybody when, debate, if you want to learn how to be a great debater, like debate club, go find out what the argument's going to be on the other side. because that's how you're going to break things down. You'll learn some stuff too, but that's how you can break things down. If you only argue from your side and you can't see the other side, there's a lot of holes that people potentially could poke. But you go and you figure out from their side, how would you argue something like this? You find out that it's a way that you can go about doing things and saying, all right, this is the way they're going to approach this now. So we have to be ready for it. And that's the way they should argue it. I don't know if they will. A lot of people chiming in about our redneck white trash astronauts, because we were talking about the privilege, all these ladies who went to space. It's privilege. A lot of them think that if we sent white trash astronauts up there, they would they'd come back with DUIs. Oh man. You know what I would do next time? I would. If I'm Jeff Bezos or any one of them, I'm just going to go find 5 random people. What a great thing.
Yeah.
You could. So this is a game show I wanted. We went and pitched it to Netflix like 10, 15 years ago. So if you guys remember, the first to send like civilians up, people who could buy their way on to the space station, was actually out of Russia. Because they were so broke, they were selling rides. And there was a commodity broker who was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He bought a ride to space, and that was like 15 years ago. And I said, I want to do like a game show where you have people compete. And then just like, the rows, the last person, because you've got the thing ready to roll, that last person, you just choose them and they go off and they fire them off into space. We should just do 5 randos. Just put them in space. 5. It'll be like, what was that MTV show where they all put them in a house?
Oh, well, that the real world.
Real world. It'll be real world in space. You got a crazy liberal, right? Some dude who's uber conservative.
Oh, wow.
Right? You got somebody that's like, you got a trans person and an evangelical.
If they vote you off the ship, they flush you out through the airlock.
Oh my God. That is white Bubba nuts. That's what somebody said.
Bubba.
Man, we went up in space. That's pretty good. The Earth's still flat though.
It looked a little round.
How great would that be? Send some flat earthers up there. Like, and then have them actually circle a couple times so they could say, what are they going to say? Well, it was like Pong, right? We went one way and we hit a wall and we came back and went the other way. The flat earthers would be awesome. Oh, yeah. Who else could you send up there? Because I want to send a mixture of people.
Well, I think you hit all of them there.
Yeah, that would be awesome, right? That would be just phenomenal. Like, I think I would watch that all day. Just who knows what they're getting up to, just floating around, yelling at each other. And you can't have him train either, because I want to see him pass out on the fly up and throw up everywhere. Go! Oh, my God.
Send some of these books that have been banned from school libraries.
I'm always, because there's another banning that's going on here. This is spectacular. And I love the banning. Okay, it's not banning if you can get it. I think we all recognize that. But there's already a lawsuit for 3 parents.
Crisis in the classroom.
Because there's always a crisis in classroom.
Now, the ACLU of Tennessee is suing the Rutherford County Board of Education. That move is in regards to the recent vote to either ban or restrict about 145 books from school libraries in Rutherford County. The ACLU filed the lawsuit on behalf of 3 families. They say instead of reading the books before they got banned, the board made the decision based on recommendations from the conservative group Moms for Liberty.
And we know who they are. And there's a lot of books out there that kids shouldn't be reading. We've talked about that ad nauseum. Stuff that I can't read on the air that I get fired for. You should at least read it, right? Like, let's read it. Like, and this is the issue with when you get people that get a little too much power and start to push on things. It's like, here's 28 books, ban these things, get rid of them, throw them out. No, look at them. Because some of the stuff that I've looked at is, I'm like, okay, that's, no. And some of it, it's like, okay, it's about race. There's no sex or something in it. And you could go to, you could say, look, a 9-year-old doesn't need to read this, but could a 16-year-old read that? Yes. I mean, let's be real. If we gave the kids their druthers, would they read any of it? No. You want to get a kid to read? Put it in an app inside of a library and tell them they're going to read something. They're only going to read a page of it, and then they're going to move on. That's it.
Well, unless you tell them they're not allowed to read it, then they'll seek it out.
I don't even know if that's true. Not anymore. Again, everything has to be an app.
Forbidden fruit always ends up being more tasty.
Well, of course, right? That's what got us in trouble on this planet.
The Clarksville Now publication reports that the National ACLU is suing the Department of Defense Education Activity over book removals. 4 children attending Fort Campbell's Barsandi Elementary School are plaintiffs in the lawsuit, as well as 8 other students at military installation schools around the country. The ACLU argues the book removals violate First Amendment rights. Clarksville Now reached out to the Department of Defense Education,
I love listening
which
to her
declined
read.
to comment. So
it's like a surprise. They reached out to the they've tried to ban a lot of books. I mean, somebody said they tried to ban in the 60s the Lord of Flies. Sure. I mean, they have. And the funny thing,
take that all the way back to Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, totally. I remember it was a few years ago. Like, you can't argue. The same people that are arguing the snowflakey people out there, and there's snowflakes on both sides nowadays. The same people that argue that it goes against the First Amendment. Again, you're not banning it, so it's still available. That's a parent thing. But on the other side of it, these are the same people that are fine with the fact that they will go change Huck Finn in college, so there's no bad words in it that may offend somebody and cause them to have a panic attack. Because it's all a game, people. It is. And you should be in charge of what your kids read to it when it gets to a certain level. The rest of it, it's just noise. It is. It's just noise. Coming up, I think Matt is here. Matt and I were on Chris's show earlier. We'll see if we can rekindle that magic. You never know. That's straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. USS, United Structural Systems. Call 615-488-7855. You check them out online at ussTN.com. Water, we get rain, we've had all this stuff. Now we're going to start to get a little bit more humid. Things start to happen. You've had cracks. Maybe you've got stuff underneath there that you've let go, and that stuff's got in there. And oh my goodness, mold, wood rot. When you let stuff go for a certain amount of time, you know what happens. It starts to snowball. And by the time you realize you got to get it fixed, that damage is big. You don't want that. United Structural Systems has been in business over 30 years. Their experience in basement, crawl space, waterproofing, basement, wall stabilization, foundation repair, second to none. Their inspection, It's free. They're going to come out. They're not going to sell you any unnecessary repairs. They're there to help 30 years in business, 30,000 happy clients and customers. They're guaranteed to give you the best, period. Call them today if you have any issues or you're worried about something like your foundation, like your crawl space. Is there some stuff under there? There's a couple cracks I haven't looked at. They'll come out, give you a free inspection. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855 or online at ussTN.com. Golf. We're talking golf, people. We've been talking a lot of stuff today. Talking about privilege knots. Those are the astronauts that Gail King was. She was a privilege knot.
What a ride.
Right? She's a privilege knot. If you're a poor person who nobody cares about who works part-time at a tire shop, you're not going up in space.
You're not. Unless you just happen to have whatever it is, $300,000 lying around. You know what Bell K and I were talking about right before I came in here?
What?
Him killing me.
How long do you think I would actually serve if I killed Bell? What do you think? 6 years?
It's possible. Well, is there a reason? Is it just because?
Because it's Friday Eve.
It was a crime of passion. Just a moment of a dispute turned into a heated argument.
You know what? They're going to look at your past. You get a good attorney. They'll argue it down to voluntary manslaughter. You'll probably get 6 years, maybe 8, serve 6, end up maybe under house arrest and in one of those, halfway houses.
So I think I'm incarcerated like 4.5, 5 years.
Maybe, yeah. Crime of passion.
Totally worth it.
Really? Man, did you hear that, Ben?
Well, I realize I've touched a sore subject for him, and he doesn't like to admit the fact that today is Friday Eve.
I hate Friday. I hate this stupid thing that people do.
Oh, Friday
It's
Eve.
so stupid.
Friday light.
There's a perfectly serviceable word. It's called Thursday.
It's called Thursday.
And why don't they call Friday Saturday Eve? Most people have to work on Friday.
No, but see, the thing is, they call it Friday Eve because college kids in particular in places, people take Fridays off, but also because most college kids don't schedule their things. So they have big, like it's women's
It's a big
ladies'
plan
night,
on
this, that,
Thursday
the other.
night because a lot of them go
It's
back
like
home on Friday.
It's a 3-day weekend for
Right.
them because they're, 4-day because they're not going to school on Monday either. You don't schedule school on Monday.
Right.
That's stupid. That's stupid.
I suppose, but grown people do it, and it annoys me.
No, I know. Grown people are weird. Yeah. Call it
Hey,
Friday.
we got a great bit out of it.
Call it Friday.
That's what you say. Bell calls it a great bit. I call it,
I know people say Friday Eve, it'll piss Matt off. I'm like, no, why? Matt's going to go tell me to. Matt, don't make him mad.
Yeah, you don't have to do that to piss me off.
Yeah, go home and beat your kids.
I mean, no, well, yeah. Mine I'll beat them. No, I can't do anything about it. Beat them into submission.
That's
Beat them
right.
into those A's.
So what are you talking about today?
We'll obviously cover the follow up on the Garcia deal. The legislative session is winding down. I'm following whether or not you vape store owners need to be concerned about your taxes going up considerably. What else?
They
is
might
there?
have to go because you're getting rid of everything you could sell.
They're selling. They're eliminating all of the Chinese products and all of those sorts of things. So we're watching that, and then obviously this FSU story. I know that you've been covering it for what it is.
Depending on where you look, it's 1 billion people are dead or 5 people are hurt in one serious.
Right. So we don't know.
No, we don't know. We don't know who the shooter is. We don't know any of that stuff. I mean, we know none. The whole thing we were talking about, the vape and the flower and stuff. It's just the overreach of well, you know what? Because we can, we will. So let's get rid of this because you could get high.
I find it fascinating, and this is my wide libertarian streak coming out. I find it fascinating when we get conservative lawmakers that claim to be small government people until it's an issue that they think they can sell back home for votes. Or, maybe they genuinely feel passionately against something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that government should be involved in it.
No.
But suddenly they're not small government anymore.
No,
they want government intervention.
They want government intervention. It's as long as it's we're going to regulate your world. We got to make sure you're okay because this is one of those things where the next step is heroin.
Well, hey, you're grown-ups until the point that we believe that you're not.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you're not grown-ups anymore, and the government has to take over and act like the nanny state. I just disagree with it.
What's your take on Garcia? I was saying if I was the Democrats, I'd love to go and let's argue from their side. If I'm them, I'm arguing now, well, we can't send anybody there because they're unduly potential for them to get tortured. And this guy didn't seem to be committed in crime down there, and they put him in jail for 25 years to life.
So if the Democrats are playing this wrong, trying to play it as trying to play on the emotions of the American people, and playing like this is some sort of human interest story, and trying to turn him into a really good guy. There's way too much evidence that this guy wasn't necessarily a good guy.
Also evidence that the Trump administration completely swung and missed on.
If I were asked, and I never am, but if I were asked by the Democrats, what is the argument? I mean, it is we are a nation of laws. We believe in laws, and we believe in due process. And there was an order in good standing from 2019. You can disagree that the order should have happened. You can disagree. You can say that he lied. You can say that he's really a member of him. You can say all of those things. But the fact of the matter is, the argument is there was an order in good standing in 2019, and Trump jumped that order.
Yeah, and I think if I'm them, my argument now is this place. Bless you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
This place is a place that is potential for torture and da-da-da-da. Whatever you want to say about it, undual torture, it's a death camp essentially, as they'll argue it. But now we can't send anybody there because they're not going to get. We're sending people, especially from other nations that aren't even El Salvadorian, to a jail, and now you can argue that from that direction that you've given them rather than just hear this guy's thing and then kick him out of the country.
I still can't figure out, and I don't get that much heartburn about it, but I still can't figure out how he landed in jail. Like, even if you argue he needs to go back to El Salvador.
That's what we want to know.
Why did he have to get off the plane and then go straight to the worst prison on earth?
That was my question is, was he convicted? Like, I'm sure
I don't think,
no conviction there.
I don't think so.
That's a great argument now that they have, but they'll screw it up as always. Matt's in. And then guess what? Matt and I, we're not going to be back till, Monday?
Tuesday. Who knows?
I'm off till Tuesday. So
I'm
you
off
guys have a good one.
Monday.
You guys have a good one. Matt's going to go golfing tomorrow. I'm just going to be sitting at the house.
That's right.
That's going to be a beautiful thing. Bye.
Three o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the first, rather full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Following today's shooting at Florida State University in Tallahassee, multiple law enforcement tell ABC News at least one person is dead and 6 others injured. Students and faculty told to shelter in place when gunfire began ringing out just after noon. Police responded to an active shooter call near the student union. Daniela Streety was able to evacuate, she says, when it all went down, and told ABC News described what she witnessed.
I did see at least one law enforcement had took that person out on a stretcher and laid them in the street until EMS showed up. There was one person across the way that seemed to get escorted in an office chair with wheels.
Over 40,000 students attend FSU's Tallahassee campus. President Trump at the White House says he's been briefed and called the shooting a horrible incident. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the FBI also on scene, and she offered prayers.
Here in